Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is my review of the Head Down Products PV-15 rifle. Alright, so over the course of the review, I fired 2,000 rounds to the PV-15. Tool, Wolf, Brown Bear, Fiocchi, and 6.2 grain Lake City. The Lake City is the ammunition I use for my accuracy checks, and I used it to 0 as well. I did pre-clean and pre-lubricate the rifle. I believe that's something you should do. Some people don't agree with that. I think if a rifle or any weapon is going to function without lubrication, its tolerances are so loose, it's probably not going to be very accurate. It's not going to be very consistent. So what I'm looking for in the review is spec. I want to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to work. I'm looking for consistent accuracy, and I'm looking for realistic hard use tolerances. I want to make sure the rifle can function under adverse conditions. Now, the adversity that I'm going to put the weapon through is going to be commensurate with what somebody might expect their own rifle to function through. I'm not going to do unrealistic tests. If I wanted to make the rifle fail, it'd be very easy for me to just drag it down the concrete at 60 miles an hour for about 30 seconds, and then I can pretty much say, oh, this rifle's not going to pass my ridiculous test. So I try to keep my tests as realistic as possible, something that you as a potential buyer, or you as somebody who already owns a head-down rifle, could expect your rifle to perform through it. It's mainly I want to look for the confidence building of the weapon versus anything completely unrealistic. .250, 273, .331 at the gas block. Alright, so spec of the PV-15, excellent. First thing I noticed when I got the rifle is there's absolutely no play between the upper and the lower receiver. That's very important. That leads towards accuracy and consistency when you're shooting. The rail, absolutely no flex that I could detect there. The rails are actually made out of 70-75 aluminum, which is something a lot of people aren't using yet. I think it's going to become more popular, but right now there's only a few companies out there doing it. That definitely cuts down on your rail flex, which is awesome for those guys that like that really hard, aggressive grip, which can affect your point of aim, point of impact. Obviously, at close range is something you're not going to notice, but as distance increases, if you're still using that really high friction aggressive grip, it's something that can be an issue. So a 70-75 rail is definitely helpful there. The builders there at Head Down Products, most of them are veterans. Some of them were armors in the military, so they understand that there are some really good attributes that come from the mil-spec world to increase a weapon's reliability, whereas some of the mil-spec parts don't lend themselves towards a more precise weapon when it comes to your standard line rifle. The military's, your average non-precision rifle in the military, mil-spec 4 MOA accuracy. This rifle definitely shoots better than 4 MOA. So they did factor in mil-spec when it came to hardware parts, such as the bolt carrier and things of that nature, but they didn't really factor the whole rifle as a mil-spec rifle because they wanted it to outperform the accuracy of a mil-spec weapon. So I think you've got the accuracy of a more aesthetically focused and more precision focused do-everything rifle with the reliability of a mil-spec. I used a bunch of different magazines during my testing, didn't have any drop problems. I used Troy, HK, some USGI aluminums, and obviously Magpul, and then Surefire. Obviously, once the rifle gets grit and grime and gritty, sometimes you're going to have to strip that magazine. That's just based on, you know, filth being introduced into the magazine well. But the lower definitely accepted every magazine I put in it. And another great thing about the lower, another thing that I checked as far as spec goes, is I put every other upper I owned on it and did not experience any issues with mounting. So it's obviously right there in that sweet spot where it's going to give you that really firm matchup with potentially whatever upper you put on it. But it's definitely going to complement the upper that came with the Head Down Products upper very, very well. The Provectus line of rifles used to come with Geissele triggers. Now Head Down has introduced their own trigger, and if you can look at the profile, you can see that it's somewhere between a curved and somewhere between a straight. It doesn't have the same aggressive arch that you're used to with your standard curved profile triggers, but obviously it's not straight either. So it's a little sweet spot in there. I was kind of dubious of the trigger at first, just looking at it and doing some dry fires on it. I was kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about this. Once I got out here and had like 200 or 300 rounds on it, I really started to like this trigger a lot. They're available in 3 to 4 pounds, single stage. It's a self-contained drop-in trigger unit, so it's something that in the future Head Down may sell separately, but for right now it's just included in a Provectus rifle. Trigger performance, very little take-up, a little more reset than I would like, but that's a preference thing. I'm so used to the CMC stroke profile triggers and my Geissele's that every trigger is going to perform just a little bit differently. It's a non-adjustable, which is really good, so either you like it or you hate it. You can't get in there and tinker with it and possibly ruin the performance of the trigger if you don't know what you're doing. I know from personal experience that just because something's adjustable, it doesn't mean I have any business getting in there and adjusting it if I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Trigger consistency was definitely there. Every shot, first to last, felt the same on the trigger even when the weapon started to get dirty. No light strikes, definitely not a problem with that. It tapped on every single ammo I put in the weapon. And as far as a trigger that's included with I'd say a higher end, a higher range rifle, it's definitely beneficial. There's eyebrows raised anytime somebody introduces their own trigger because you've already got big names in the game like Geissele and CMC and Timney, and there's some others out there. But if you're going to spend the money for a rifle, especially in the $1,500 to $2,000 range for an AR, I think a custom trigger should be included. And if a company can come to the market with a new trigger system, or at least a very different trigger design, or maybe even slightly different trigger design like the Head Down trigger, I think that's definitely beneficial to the buyer. Accuracy of the Head Down PV-15. I used Troy flip-up sights, an aim point, and a Fortis manufacturing mount during my testing. I put the sights on, got everything set up, everything locked down where I want it to be, and zeroed in 15 rounds. I shoot 5-round groups. Fired 5 rounds, made one correction, one adjustment on the front sight, 2 adjustments on the rear, fired 5 more rounds, and I was zeroed, 50 meter zero. Fired 5 more to confirm. 15 rounds total to get the rifle zeroed. What does that tell me? It tells me that everything is as it should be. The barrel, bore over height with the rail, everything's consistent. There's no cant issues. There's nothing like that. The rear receiver, or I should say the upper receiver, is working in conjunction with the rail itself. Everything is as it should be. Worked really, really well. Obviously, the trigger is definitely a benefit to that. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I slaved the T1 to the sights, folded them down, reconfirmed the aim point 0, made sure everything was good to go. I fired hot groups, I fired cold groups, as you'll see in the video. As far as practical accuracy is concerned, no question, this rifle is practically accurate. That's not saying much. Almost every AR is practically accurate. But is it precision accurate when it needs to be? I would say absolutely. If you need to take a precise shot, even on a hot gun, the head down is going to get you there. It's going to perform the way it should perform for a rifle of its, I would say, price point. Because when it comes to ARs, everything is about price point. Is an $800 AR going to perform as well as a $2,000 AR? Sometimes they do, but usually they don't. With firearms, you almost always get what you pay for when it comes to features. So as far as accuracy is concerned, obviously the trigger, the build of the rifle, the fit of the upper receiver to the lower receiver, all these things work together to give you a really consistent rifle. The head-down rifle stock gives you a consistent cheek weld. It's not like your thinner mil-spec stocks or your Magpul CTRs or the stocks that don't provide you with a flared cheek weld. It allows you to kind of cheat a little bit, if you want to use that term. I don't. I think, you know, the gear is definitely going to assist you in that case. But it allows you to get a really consistent cheek weld from a low ready or from picking the rifle up or from what have you that definitely aids in the overall accuracy of the weapon. Now, obviously, you still have to be doing everything you have to do as far as fundamentals are concerned. But in conjunction with, like, say, the 70-75 rail, you can put that really aggressive flex on it. Not going to affect your accuracy, not really going to affect your point of aim, point of impact to a noticeable degree that I was able to find. 50 meter zero, had no problems hitting steel out to 300. I did shoot it out to 400 on steel. Obviously, didn't have any issues there either. So when it comes to accuracy, I'm going to go ahead and give the Head Down products a big thumbs up on that.
For a 16-inch rifle with a carbine-length gas system, I was very surprised by the flat recoil of the PV-15. Normally, the shorter gas system would increase dwell time and leave the gun overgassed, resulting in a snappy, sharp recoil. The rifle's balance and weight, along with the Griffin Armament M4 SD flash comp I installed for the test, left the rifle flat and very controllable.
Yeah, I'd say it works. All right, my rifle set up for the review, bullet force gear sling. I kept the head down stock. It's got a really generous cheek weld, very similar to the B5. It locks up really well. There's not really any play in it, so I went ahead and stuck with it. They ship with an A2 flash hider, or they have an optional brake. I went ahead and took the A2 flash hider off of it and put on a Griffin Armament M4 SD flash comp. I really like those a lot. Some rail scales for heat, Lanco tactical grip stop, and then aim point and Troy sights. It ships with an ergo grip as opposed to your what's become the industry standard Magpul furniture. I like the ergo grip a lot. It's a little slimmer, but it's got a rubberized feel to it. Maintains positive grip even when it gets wet. So I appreciated that. Non-ambidextrous controls, I wouldn't really consider that a ding on the rifle, even at the price point that it's at, because I think that's more of a user preference issue. There's a lot of aftermarket ambi controls out there, and some of them are actually not beneficial to the weapon, depending on your hand size, your grip, what you're doing with it. I know, especially with the ambi safety selectors, some of them, if the arms are the same length, they can rub against the hand and kind of impede your index finger or brush against it or do weird things when you're actually switching from safe to semi or to select fire or what have you. Other than that, I didn't do anything else to the rifle. I went ahead and ran it like it is. Like I said, I pre-cleaned it, and then I went ahead and put 2,000 rounds through it. Didn't have any accuracy issues with the PV-15. After the zero, even after the abuse I put it through, it maintained zero. The drop testing and whatnot. And obviously that speaks towards the optic and the sights, but also speaks towards the rail and the actual construction of the weapon. Even after the drop test, it was maintaining, it was shooting really good groups, really good practical accuracy, really good precision accuracy. So accuracy was never a significant issue with the rifle. I couldn't actually say anything bad about how well the gun shoots. So final verdict on the Provectus 15 rifle. First thing out of the way, what do I not like about this rifle? The QD attachment on the stock is non-anti-rotation, which means I can just spin it and spin it and spin it and spin it. I don't like that. I don't like my slings getting tangled up on me. For some people that might be a small issue. I think it would have been even easier for head down to fix it by using a non-rotational QD cup versus the one they went with. Other than that, what else do I not like about this rifle? Nothing, which is exactly how it should be. If you're going to spend $2,000 on an AR-15, it should perform commensurate with what money you're going to spend on it. All the tolerances are really tight. All the features are really good. I love the trigger. I will be honest, I don't love it as much as my CMC or my Geisley triggers, but I do like it. I think it's a great feature for this rifle. For the price point, you're definitely getting what you pay for. I would like to see them offer additional options, different rails, different muzzle devices, even different trigger options, even though they have their own drop-in trigger, which the head-down trigger, a really good trigger. I don't like it as much as my CMCs or my Geisleys, but it's a very good complement to this rifle, and I have nothing really necessarily bad to say about it. It just comes down to user's preference. Over the course of the review, 2,000 rounds fired, only 3 malfunctions, and all 3 of those malfunctions were ammunition related. I had 2 failures to extract and 1 failure to fire. The 2 failures to extract were both cracked necks, so the round kind of expanded in the chamber, made it hard to get out of there. I actually had to use a cleaning rod to punch it out, which is unfortunate, but that's definitely an ammo issue, not necessarily a gun issue. It functioned exactly how it should function. The mil-spec parts working in concert with the more precise, the tighter tolerance non-mil-spec parts to give you a very reliable rifle that can fill a bunch of different roles. You can use this for home defense, you can use it for precise distance shooting, you could use it for hunting, you could use it for competition. As a 7-pound rifle, you have a lot of options before you start adding accessories to it. You can just run iron sights, great gun, great plinking gun, be good for somebody just getting into rifles. And the quality means that the rifle is going to last for a very, very long time. When it comes time to change out the barrel, if you reach into barrel life, the rail comes off easily, throw a new barrel on, put the rail back on, you're good to go once again. Head Down also has a rifle for life warranty, which is rare in the industry. That's definitely a plus when it comes to this gun. Now, obviously with the state of the industry, a lot of really good rifles out there. Why should you buy a Head Down rifle? Well, the warranty alone is awesome. They're a local Georgia company if you're in Georgia, so you'd be supporting a local small business. They are a small business, so if you're buying a rifle from anywhere, you're supporting a small business. And most of their employees are veterans, so that's really awesome. A lot of the guys back there building the rifles are veterans. Some of them were armors in the military, some of them were infantry. They know how to build a fighting rifle. Even if your goal is just shooting paper or competition, you're getting a fighting gun first and a more precise AR-15 second, which I think is a really good combination, and that's the way things should be as far as I'm concerned. I'm always self-defense focused when I look at guns, when I look at any weapon. So if it's competition first, self-defense second, that's not going to work for me. It has to be a fighting gun first, and then it can be a competition weapon second. So in closing, if you're looking for a higher end AR-15, something comparable to a Black Rain or a Noveske or something like that, in the $1,500 to $2,000 price range, the PV line of rifles from Head Down Products is a great choice. You get a lot of really good features for your money. The rifle's going to perform. It's going to be precise. It's going to give you practical accuracy. It's going to be reliable. And that's everything you should look for in an AR-15. So if that's what you're in the market for, if you're looking for a rifle that's going to have a really long barrel life, really long service life, and you're going to have customer service to back you up if you have issues with it, I would strongly consider the Provectus 15 or one of the Provectus rifles. I'm Aaron Cowan with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly. So final verdict on the PV-15. Nobody likes a rain delay.
Hey! Ah! Hey!